Okay, good morning, everyone. We're still missing some speakers. I see you, Eva, on the chat. You need to register with the other link. So if you can try that while I do the general presentation, that would be great because otherwise you won't be able to present or talk. So yeah, in the meantime, welcome everyone. Good morning. My name is Sonia. I'm from the European Network of Innovation for Inclusion team. Thank you for joining us today in this webinar, where we will be talking about innovative approaches to foster social inclusion through employability and entrepreneurship. So this is the second webinar of a series of 3 webinars that we have been organizing to give voice to the good practices that applied to the 7th call of good practices organized by the network. And yeah, just to provide a little bit of context for those who don't know us yet, the European Network of Innovation for Inclusion by Action Against Hunger Spain has been working since 2016, and its aim is to promote social innovation among all kinds of public and private entities, with the goal of creating a more inclusive European labor market. And the way we do this is through an exchange of good practices, experiences, and knowledge. And this is precisely what we want to do today. We want to get inspired by the work done by these organizations that will be presenting their projects. And we also want to give you an opportunity to network and establish synergies with other organizations. So now we're going to move on to the agenda. Right now we're in the main stage where we will be hearing the presentations of these organizations presenting today. And then we will move on to the interactive workshop. For that part, we will be leaving the main stage, I will let you know, and we will be going to a session, a specific session where everyone will be able to talk, like the general audience as well. And lastly, we will have a networking session where you will be able to have one-to-one conversations. It's like a speed networking activity. And we encourage you to take advantage of this activity to discuss issues with other organizations or even talk about potential projects that you would like to work on together. So before we get started with the presentations, I'm gonna give the floor to the speakers today so that they can introduce themselves, their organizations, and the main objective very briefly. So I'm gonna be adding Sarah, yeah, and the rest of the speakers to the screen. So yeah. Luciana, if you want to start, for example, or...
Sure, of course. Hi, everyone. I am Luciana Verona. I'm the project coordinator at International Professionals Finland. And our project Degree AMPLIFY was chosen as a finalist this year. So yeah, I can tell you a little bit about about the project and what's the idea of our project and how it works. So I'm going to present now. Let me see. I will share my screen. Okay, not seeing it yet.
Luciana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my connection or yours, but I'm having some trouble hearing you. I don't know if the rest can hear her.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll try to speak louder. I'm wearing
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah. Yeah, okay. We're gonna have the introductions first, and then we will move on to the presentation. So, Sarah, if you want to
Sure.
continue.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Sara Quartararo, and I am a project manager for CEIPES. That is the International Center for the Promotion of Education and Development. And I will present you today one of our projects, that is the project ENFEM. So, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gita Ramdiatsin. I'm the chair and founder of UIF, Universal Interaction Foundation. I will be presenting our small-scale and first new as a first newcomer in a newcomer project RISE, raising inclusion and skill in employment, and you will hear from me shortly.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now that we know each other, we can start with the presentations. I'm gonna give the floor to Luciana from International Professionals Finland. If you want to share your screen.
Yeah, sure. So can you hear me well now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm
I
wearing
think
a
it was
headset. I hope.
not connected.
Yeah. Yeah, I really have anything else to try about the audio, so I hope that it's okay, and I will try to speak louder. So I was telling you that our project degree Amplify has been chosen as one of the finalists, and I will tell you about it and how it goes. I will share my screen. Can you see now?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. So this is our organization, International Professionals Finland, and our project degree Amplify. And to tell you a little bit of background, here are some numbers about the Finnish unemployment. In 2020, there were about 500,000 people of foreign background, a little less than 500,000. And the total unemployment rate is in 2021 was 7.1%, but the unemployment rate among people of foreign background was of 27.5%. So you see there is a huge gap between unemployment in a total number, including Finnish nationals and foreigners, and just foreigners. So this means that in Finland, even if a person is highly educated and skilled, finding qualification matched employment is a huge challenge. And this is what our organization targets the most. Highly educated immigrants experience underemployment more often. They are more likely to work in fixed-term and part-time jobs. And then, as I said before, unemployment is more common for immigrants. Long-term unemployment, underemployment is more common for immigrants. And expert graduated abroad and experienced professionals in different fields are forced many times to de-skilling, re-skilling, shifting careers. And this leads to this gap that we have identified about not finding qualification matched employment. And why? The reasons are many, and it's very complex to explain, but some of the reasons that we can tell is discrimination and prejudice, language barriers, so lack of Finnish language skills, lack of recognition of education or experience acquired abroad, use of informal recruitment practices, which means hiring through contacts mainly, and perceived organizational mismatch, which is something that it's very tricky, and many foreigners are not even invited to interviews because they are perceived as a mismatch even before they are met and they are interviewed. So we were asking in our organization what kind of support do immigrants require and what can we do? And this means that these professionals who have diplomas from abroad, they can face problems like non-European standards. So some diplomas of people coming from Africa, from Asia, from America, from Latin America, they have different ways of for example, recognizing credits or class hours or whatever. There's this a money issue because recognizing diplomas can require up to 2,000 euro or even more. And for an immigrant that is unemployed, this is a huge challenge. There's also difficulty obtaining assistance. There is a lot of information online, but obtaining assistance in person is very difficult. The language, as I mentioned before, lack of Finnish skills, but also because many of these professionals have English as a second language, so there's also that. Time, so how long it can take to obtain the recognition. It can be more than 1 year, it can be 2 years. And there's also an overwhelming amount of information. This can seem contradictory, but sometimes when there is too much information online, it's easy for an immigrant to be confused. So our answer was to resort to community, right? And we think that community is powerful, that peer support empowers, it gives identity, it gives a sense of inclusion. And we have tried this by giving step-by-step personalized support to apply for recognition of qualifications obtained abroad. We do this by matching a participant with a volunteer who has already gone through the process to coach and support based on their own experiences, tips, and collaboration. This is done mainly by four methods or four stages. The first is an online webinar. We organized this online webinar to inform everyone about Finnish regulations, terminology, and authorities. The advantages of the webinar is that it's easily accessible and people have a chance to ask in the Q&A session. The webinar included the regulating authorities, so that was a chance to have some support face-to-face. And also it was open to the general public, not only for program participants, but for everyone. And so many people who weren't even sure if they need the recognition could get informed about it and make better decisions based on being better informed. Then our program offers a practical workshop. The goal is to encourage action by introducing steps like studying the application forms and discussing procedures. It's very simple, but it gives community right to start networking with people who are going through the same experiences, and it also offers a first window to what we need to do in order to apply for recognition in Finland. The third stage is the collaborative targeted coaching, and this is the longest phase, and it's the most personalized phase. It consists of online or offline meetings, so in person, to receive help from an actual individual who has already gone through this, a peer who has already gone through this, and get a sense of community and support and encourage people to move forward and apply. So we don't give help using specialists. We are just offering this opportunity to hear from personal experiences and offer support in every step and find the information together and these kind of things. And the last one is peer support. So we also connect every participant so they can meet other peers, coaches, as well as other participants who have gone through similar experiences to alleviate loneliness, to give encouragement, to promote personal relationships and networking. And this creates, well, a good support environment and feeling accompanied while doing this difficult and lengthy paperwork that can take up to 2 years, like I said before. So this is basically our project. I invite you to our webpage. Is www.interprofinland.fi. So it's interprofinland.fi, and I invite you to our website and connect with us in our social media network. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luciana, for presenting your project. It's very interesting. We would love to know about it more in the interactive workshop and networking session. And now we're gonna move on to the next project, Sarah, with ENFEM.
Yeah, okay, I will share my screen.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So as I told you, I'm Sara Quartararo, and I want to first of all thank you again the European Network of Innovation for Inclusion for asking us to present today the project ENFEM. I represent here CEIPES, so that is the International Center for the Promotion of Education and Development. That is a no-profit organization founded in 2007 and based in Palermo in Italy. We operate both at local level and also at European level for the promotion of innovation, education, work, and experiences. We are also a VET center, and we coordinate the CEPIS network here in Sicily, which has more than 40 members, including organization, but both public and private entities. And the objective of our network is to promote cooperation among stakeholders at the local level to facilitate access to community opportunities, so Italian opportunities, but also mobility for learning and European cooperation. I'm here today to present the project ENFEM that is focused on the integration of women country national, coming from countries outside the European Union into the market through local integration strategy that are focused on employability and entrepreneurship. This is an AMIF project, so founded by the Asylum, Migration and Integration Fund. It started in December 2021 and it will finish this November, so November 2023. There are a lot of partners within the project. We are a big consortium made by partners from Portugal, Greece, Italy, France, Lithuania, Romania, Spain, Netherlands, and Cyprus. Who is the target of our project? So women country national, as I already told you, we decided to target women because research shows that they have difficulties to enter into the educational system and even more to enter within the local work environment. And this is a widespread phenomenon, so is all over Europe. Of course, there are different data in different European countries, but it is a problem that is in a lot of countries. Even if sometimes they have also valuable skills, they have knowledge, as someone told also before me, so they can, without any problem, fit the local market, or of course they can acquire new skills, they can develop new skills to match the need of the host society. So which are the aims of the project? First of all, to create and develop a multi-stakeholder network, so made by local authorities, market actors, local NGOs, organizations that are led by women, and so on. And secondly, to develop local integration strategies that they can fit the market of each country who is involved in the project, to facilitate the socioeconomic integration of the women. And the third one is the empowerment of the member of the network, because as we will see, we create some training modules also for the local actors in the different countries. How we will do it? Mostly we worked through a bottom-up approach. So we made a first research, so qualitative and quantitative research, interviewing women country national and also the local communities. And we analyzed, we coded all this data to design, develop and implement those strategies targeting women TCN and promoting their social inclusion and their sense of belonging. Then we develop a training course. So we are providing them training opportunities in the field of language learning, working rights and entrepreneurship skills. And at the same time, we we will provide training opportunities also for local actors. Then we will also organizing work-based learning opportunities for women third country nationals. So these are the main results of our project. So we started with an analysis on employability and migrant women at European level. Then we developed and then we implemented a local integration strategy, and then we created an online platform with a training course. The platform is already available, and you can find it here following this QR code or also the website. These are the main objectives. So as I already told you, we decided to target both women and local actors. So the first objective is to strengthen migrant women capacity to start their own business and develop key skills for entrepreneurial goal and the social inclusion of women, and then strengthening the capacity of local actors to support migrant women in achieving their own goals. This is the outline of the course. This is a self-made course, so they can do it on their own on the platform. The course lasts for 24 hours for women, and it is mostly on entrepreneurship skills. So, for example, communication, leadership, something related to language. And then we have labor law. Of course, at the beginning, they can choose which country, which is the country where they came from, the host country, let's say. And so they will follow the course that is related to this country. So, for example, in Italy, we have a specific labor law that is different from Netherlands, for example. So they can choose which one they want to follow. And of course, they can switch. And then intercultural relation, that is also country related. Then there is a 12 hours training course for local actors that has strategies, mostly is exchange of best practices for the inclusion of migrant women, so how we can support them, and then diversity management. That is mostly for local actors. So, for example, companies or, yes, market actors. Where we are now in the implementation of the training course. So we are organizing some kind of pilot activities. So partner will implement the training package for 500 women and 300 local actors, of course, the whole consortium. And now we are also organizing work-based learning opportunities for migrant women. So we are doing the matching between the women. So some of the women who participated in our training course, they will contact and we will match them with companies that work here at local level. And they are doing kind of internship, let's say, for at least one working month here in Sicily, for example. And this is very important because it ensures them to acquire practical know-how also to spend in the local market, and also to have direct contact between women and the local stakeholder. And of course, they can also use this contact to looking for other working opportunities in Italy or in other European countries. These are our social media pages. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also our website. These are our partners, and that's it. I thank you again for your attention. And
thank you very much, Sarah.
It
was really interesting to get to know your project as well. And now we're going to move on to RISE by Universal Interaction Foundation. Okay, you're now on the screen. Do you have your presentation to share it?
Can you see it?
Perfect.
Am I
You now
visible?
have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Gita Ron-Jansing. I'm the chair of UIF, Universal Interaction Foundation, located in Amsterdam. First, I would like to thank the European Network for Innovation for Inclusion for this opportunity to present our project RISE, Raising Inclusion and Skill for Employment. The why of RISE is a part of a personal journey with a focus on needs, young people who are less educated, including the ones who have a migrant background. The global acceptance of 21st century skills, and in this particular format, the learning skills, has been the reason to tackle two things: make the work of the youth worker easier so they can focus on things that matter, facilitating young people in the world of work, no matter what their background is, and reintroduce skills to job seekers in their career path. Why is this a good practice? Because it tackles the skills from a human interaction point of view, in where every mechanism is used and to contribute and adds value to collaboration. The benefits of the pragmatic approach are the easiness to understand and therefore to also to teach. And adopting this method will put the focus on skill and less on the possible biases related to education, the education level or the migrant background. We have trained 20 youth workers in our respective countries, and the biggest vocational institute in the Netherlands, but also the National Skills Council of Malta, have expressed their interest in our project. I should be able to. I have a bit of a technical problem. Hold on. I'm going to do this differently. There. So assess, mentor, and develop are fundamental for career progression. And based on this concept and the 21st century format, I started personally drafting an outline for the learning skills. I need to swap something. I'm not quite sure if it goes well, but I hope it's visible. Now, as you can see, here's a draft of where it all started, where you see in blue all the 21st century skills: communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. And we basically have mapped out what it actually means, because a lot of people think that, or when you ask young people, are you a good collaborator or a good communicator? Everybody says that they are, but in practice sometimes the reality may be a little bit different. So we thought, okay, how are we going to approach this? How does Carl in this case communicates? How he collaborates? What type of ideas he brings up? How he solves issues in his surroundings. As a newcomer in the EU, in the EU domain, it has been quite helpful to be surrounded with experienced partners. Across Limits from Malta has a long track record within the EU projects, and Instituto Ikigai are experienced in online learning and development. Now, the timeline that we have experienced in these 18 months, we started basically, and I'm not quite sure if it's properly visible, but we started with the market study, where we, there you go, there's the market study, where we mapped out the major challenges facing youth that are looking for work. We consulted the youth workers of each of our partner countries to cross-reference the most paramount issues and prioritizing these accordingly. The entire market study is available on the website, but to give you an idea of our findings, where they were related to was education and employment of young people, factors in influencing young people and employment, and the barriers to the transition from education to employment. 3 countries, 3 different approaches when it comes to education and employment of young people, where we have seen that Spanish youngsters are the longest in education. Maltese have a stronger focus on employment, and in the Netherlands you see young people doing both at the same time. The barriers to transition from the education to employment, a couple of things that we have noticed were the lack of relevant work experience, the lack of skills, lack of jobs during extreme times, and of course the pandemic has been a good example in there. Young migrants can be at a greater risk of leaving education or training early, and of course, without obtaining any form of qualifications, it's quite hard. And when we look at the EU, about 8.9% of young national citizens were earlier leavers from education and training in general, while this figure was more than twice for the young non-nationals. So the effect of the pandemic were felt more strongly in particular groups within the labor market, for example, for young people in hospitality, leisure and transport-related sectors. And another factor that has been important were the diverse needs of the young people. Those that are not in employment or nor in education or training, they can have many factors affecting their choices and status. So one of them are, or a short listing here, the short-term unemployment, the long-term unemployment, family responsibilities, illness, disability, re-entrance, or just simply discouraged job seekers. Now, during this period, we involved youth workers from our respective countries, and we concluded several surveys related to what they see as important skills for employment. And in here we see a general agreement when it comes to communication and everything else that comes from that. Soon after this, we started with skill assessment, where we used a video platform where we asked open questions that they could answer in their native tongues. And based on that, the youth workers received one-on-one feedback sessions related to their skills, and also to prepare them for the training program. So the draft that you saw earlier, we expanded it with an easy scoring system, expanded data. We had a skill overview, a tailored description, talents involved, and some reflective tips and tricks to tackle the skill that has the lowest score. In October 2022 and March recently, we combined theory and practice, and as the pictures, and as you can see from the pictures, they don't need more explanation also in here, as all skills of communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking came together. The platform is ready, where you can find modules about soft skills, effective communication, leadership, well-being, time management, and decision-making. Now, what has been the success factor in here was basically involving the right people, tailor the project during this project to the needs of the youth workers. We have also shown in here that science and technology can support to pragmatic and easy to understand approaches in general, and not to forget, let the experts in the consortiums do their magic. For sure, it also hasn't been all hip hip hooray. We also faced challenges. For example, the moment that we wrote this project and when it was awarded, we were actually restarting the society after the pandemic. So getting all the people in one location at the same time and getting them back home was a bit of a challenge. But also the outcome of the market study, which I just pointed out, reflected also in the group. The perception of impact, although our current day and era may be driven by social media, in order to have a real impact, it's still human interaction and presence that plays an important role, whether or not your tool is being taken further or catches dust on a digital shelf. So where are we now? We are currently in the middle of our rollout and wrap up. And although RISE has been a small scale, led by a newcomer, it has the potential to be embedded in learning and development ecosystems. And yeah, if you would ask me what's next, at this particular moment, I don't know. What I hope is to use the learnings and the results of this project in a larger scale to benefit young people in the world of work, no matter what their background is. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Gita. It was really interesting as well. All of the projects you're presenting are super interesting and they could fit with each other perfectly. So now we're gonna move on to Eva, who is now in the backstage. So Eva, now you're on the screen. You can share your screen or your presentation.
Yes, I'm trying to do so.
Okay, there's an option below that says present. If you click there, then I will add your presentation to the screen.
Can you see it now? No?
Not yet, no.
It says it is processing.
No, I cannot see it. It is like in the banner below, next to the settings. It says present. Can you see it?
Yes, I put there, and it says now it is in process. Can you see it now?
Okay, yeah, we can see it now. Yeah. And also, if you want to introduce yourself first, because you weren't in the first part, so
yes,
yeah, now you have it here.
So,
Thank you.
I am Ossiannilsson. I'm a professor in innovation in open online learning. I'm based in Sweden, and I'm an independent researcher and consultant and quality reviewer. And first of all, thank you so much for the kind invitation and for the honor to be here today with you. And thanks a lot to the European Network of Innovation for Inclusion. And I will share with you today an Erasmus Plus project, which we are working on, which is exactly about inclusion and digital inclusion for all, which also is the name of this European project. So it is a small-scale project. It is just two partners. It is myself and my company, who is the coordinator for the project, and the other partner is from Lithuanian College of Democracy in Vilnius in Lithuania, with my colleagues Egle Seliesene and Neda Mons. So maybe I have the same. Oh, there is the. So this is our webpage for the project, and we are quite active also in LinkedIn. So we share a lot of articles and blog posts on LinkedIn. And thanks a lot to the European Network of Innovation for Inclusion to like our post on this event today. So the project aimed at improving the key competences, skills, and learning performance of young people in schools by promoting quality improvement, innovation, excellence at the educational level and involving digital inclusiveness for all. So it is not actually just targeting for migrants and immigrants, although especially in Lithuania, where we work a lot with the schools, they have a lot of people right now from Ukraine, for example. So we have really targeted that group. So the objectives are twofold: to improve the key competences, skills, and learning performance of young people. As I said, promoting quality improvements, innovation, excellence at educational level, and involving digital inclusiveness. But also to improve the competences of the teachers. So it is both targeting teachers and the end users, the learners, the students. So it is a 2-year project. And what are we doing? We have actually two main intellectual outputs, and that is, first of all, we have done a study research on digital inclusiveness, and then secondly, we are working on good practices and case studies, and I will tell you more about that. So actually, we are targeting the whole sector of the schools, the students, as I said, the staff, but also the school and other education providers, but also public bodies and national agencies, because this is really an ecosystem of improving innovation and digital competencies for all. So more explicit, we are developing modules for train the trainers of implementing digital inclusion from the results we did by the desktop research and the frameworks we are working on, which I will tell you a bit more about. We're also working with guidance for educators. We're also having a contest for the moment, which is right out now, for schools to present their best practices. And then, of course, we will do a lot of final seminars, as it is also usual with the multiplier events for your Erasmus Plus projects. We are now have 1.5 years of working on this project, and we have already done a lot of disseminations at conferences. This is just to show something. Especially during the first year, we did, I think, once a month, presented at conferences, not just in Scandinavia and in Baltic countries, but also mainly in Europe, and also a lot of online events like the Open Educational Week. We have done 2 times. And we're also presenting at EPALE and eTwinning, European communities. So what are we doing? First of all, our project is based on the frameworks from the SDG 4 especially, and their targets. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And we have to remind ourselves sometimes that lifelong learning starts already in the childhood. Sorry. So we also frame our project on the 4 target area for Erasmus Plus about active citizenship and ethics in lifelong learning, but also to development of social and intercultural competences, critical thinking, and media literacy. And the 4 prioritized areas for the Erasmus Plus project are about green sustainability, and that means also everything what we are doing need to be in green sustainability. For example, our meetings, how we deal with our disseminations, and in case we have physical events, we have to apply green sustainability as well. And inclusion and diversity is, of course, at the core, as is the digital transformation. And actually those 3, they are embedded for an active citizenship, and that is the goal, to be an active citizen with the responsibilities, but also with the benefits that it means. I don't think I have actually the time to go through every single thing about those prioritized area, but I have some slides about that and also some links. This is for green sustainability. This is about inclusion and diversity. Maybe it can be worth to mention some of the issues here, because quite often when we think about inclusion and diversity, we maybe mainly think about different kinds of disabilities or impairments. But there are so many others, like health problems, barriers linked to education and training system, culture difference, social barriers, economic barriers, barriers linked to discrimination, geographical barriers. Maybe those are just the main barriers and issues to think about. And then, of course, about digital transformation. We are living in a digital society, and that means both responsibilities, but also a lot of opportunities and benefits, but also the digital divide and the gap will be increased if we don't really work on it actively. So that is what our project is about, digital inclusion for all learners. One of our framework is also the European Digital Innovation Hub, where we also have presented our project, and we take regular participation in those events and follow what they are doing. And of course, the framework is about European Commission from the European Education Area about Digital Education Plan, which was taken and adopted in 2021 and lasts till 2027. So we just briefly go through the framework. They're the frameworks we're working on, and that is, of course, the Digital Competence Framework for Citizen, the DIGCOMP 2.2, and last year it was we worked on translations, and now it is also translated into Swedish, for example. Another framework is the DIGCOMP Edu, which is targeting both the teachers but also the learners with those 6 areas about professional engagement, digital pedagogy, digital resources, digital assessment, empowering the learners, and facilitating learners and digital competences. So this is also the ecosystem of DIGCOMP Edu. And as you see, it is based on the DIGCOMP framework, and it covers both pedagogical competences and subject-specific competences, but also the transversal competences. So on the right-hand side is mainly about from the learner's perspective, and on the left-hand side is mainly on the academics and the teacher's side. So this is in more detail what it includes, those 6 areas which I mentioned. We also work on My Digital Skills, where you can map where you are at with your digital skills. And when you do that, it is actually translated into different languages, so you can do it in your own language. And I think it's really important to stress, because digital inclusion, it is very much about to understand your own culture and the context you're working in. Because language is so much more than the words as such. It's so much about the culture and the history and the context. You can do this in your own language. And it is like you answer questions, and they are also overlapping each other in one way. So you maybe answer the same kind of area in maybe 2 or 3 different kind of questions, just to be sure where you are at. And in the end, you get some the result with some traffic light. With the red light, you maybe have to work on your digital competences. With yellow light, you are more or less good enough, but you can also do improvements. And with green lights, you have got it, and you are quite good. We also work with a selfie, both a selfie for schools, which also is a free and easy to use and customizable tool to help schools assess where they stand with their learning in a digital age. And we also use the selfie for teachers. So it is both for teachers and for schools. Of course, we also have the framework of the new social contract for education from UNESCO, which was built on a global consultation from 2021. It was launched. The new social contract, Rethinking Education and Rethinking Education for All, is based on the SDGs, which I mentioned even before. But it also mentioned very much about the learner as in the core and in the center, and take the learner's perspective in the society and for global development and inclusion and for innovation. So the reason behind that is that we need a new social contract for education to repair the injustices, while we are at the same time have to transform the future we want. And the future should be in plural, actually, because there are many futures to embrace both innovation, but also diversity and inclusion and contextualization. So this is some core issues in the new social contract. There is a need for a new agenda for education. We need to work much more on safeguarding and transforming schools, and also work more on teachers and the teaching profession, and the pedagogies of solidarity and cooperation, and also the pedagogies of well-being. It's very important today, not at least since the COVID period, where vulnerabilities were very much explicit, and those people who really were suffering already, they suffered a lot during the pandemic. So we need to also develop a curricula and the knowledge of commons, and also to have the service of education across different time and zones, because time and space has become more and more merged, not at least due to COVID as well. And there is a renewed international solidarity and cooperation agenda. We would need to work together much more than it's possible, let us say, done today, because we have to really take care of our global resources. We don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time ourselves. We need to have global collaboration, but of course also local collaboration and what we call globalization. Think global, but act local. But most of all, it is people.
Sorry for interrupting, but could you please finish like in 2 minutes so that we have time for
I'm actually in the end. So first
of
all,
thank you very much.
Yeah. So first of all, it is very important to learn the learners. Who are actually your learners? And working online, at least, not at least, it is more important than ever to really learn to know your learners. Who are they and where are they? What kind of preferences and what kind of facilities do they have? And I will not go through, as the time is more or less running out, all those aspects, but you can see the 4 prioritized areas from the Commission. But you need to put people first, because people is the most valuable resource we have today. So actually this was the last slide. So thank you very much for that, for your time and for your attention.
Thank you very much. Okay, and now lastly, Gillian, I'm gonna add you to the screen.
Hi, thank you.
Right.
Okay, and this present button is the one to share screen. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this is not the easiest facility, is it?
Can you see the banner below? It says like next.
Yeah, no, I've got that. I'm just trying to find
present.
the right window. I've got it. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
You got that?
Okay. Now you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm Gillian Arnold, and I chair the Women in Tech expert group for CEPIS. CEPIS is the Council of European Professional Informatics Society. So it brings together all of the IT and technology societies across the greater Europe. So not just EU, but everyone else. And as an expert group, we have created over the last several years something that we call the DiversIT Charter. And I've put an image of a book that I edited a couple of years ago, not really to show off, but just to say we are an expert group, and the individuals who created the DiversIT Charter do understand the issues around women in tech across Europe. And the issues are really pervasive. We average across all of the greater Europe about 19% women in technology roles, which is appalling given the fact that technology has such a dearth of skills. And it's thought that were we to have full participation of women in technology and get it to about 50-50 men and women in technology roles, then we would see a complete reduction in the skills issues across Europe for tech. So we do know that there's a real significant benefit, not just for the women, but for everyone. And we think that's important because we know that it's often the case that you have to sell all this stuff via the business case for diversity, which is unfortunate. It shouldn't be that way, but the business case is a useful way to do it. So the purpose of the charter as we created it was to increase the numbers of women in technology, and once we got them in there, to retain them. And for us, we think that the retention part is by far the biggest piece of work. And in order to do that, we wanted to guide companies and organisations, and indeed societies and associations across the Greater Europe on how to do that. And we wanted to then build a community who could share best practice. So we do have a community. It's not huge at the moment, but it does exist, and we regularly give them updates on things like skills and programs, and we'll talk to them about things like bias or how to implement change within the organisation. So we do that on a regular basis. We felt that it was important to include societies and associations because for an IT society, they do have a vested interest in increasing skills in technology within their country. And consequently, we felt that it was well placed there. But actually, what we do is really aimed at companies because there are so many more of those. And if we can get to them through the IT societies and associations, then all the better. So what we've got is a 3-level certification process. And I did see a lot of similarities between what we're doing and what EBA is doing. So you know, we do all understand the issues here. And what we will do is we will assess the applicants' policies and initiatives and their plans for increasing and retaining women. And so, as I said, this is our target audience. And what they get back is they get public recognition of their commitment to increase gender diversity in the technology professions. And they will get clear and continuing guidance on what to do. And so it looks a little bit like this. Again, much like EBA's, it has three tiers of activity. So the bronze activities, we're helping people to get working groups together, to understand where they currently are and give them some suggested first steps. And we're giving them a roadmap. So we'd like them to tell us what they're doing, and we will assess them and tell them where they could do more. And then they'll get certified at bronze level. And then the silver activities take them a little bit further, like, for example, how are you as a company working with girls in schools to drive your future pipeline? Or how are you as an organization establishing and supporting role models? And how are you as an organization retaining your women by ensuring that you understand what happens with the internal pipelines? And then the gold activities are, you know, how do you take that further? So how do you now establish your pipeline by perhaps educating the parents of the girls in the school programs that your company is engaging with? Or how do you collaborate with other organizations in your country? Or how do you inspire other groups and companies to work on education and diversity? And so if you think about that, reading up the right-hand side there, the first level, bronze, is about building the foundations. The next steps come in silver, and achieving best practice come in gold. And we have several different assessment areas. So we look at those people who are bringing their work to us in terms of how have you set objectives and KPIs? How do you understand what's going on within your organization. What data do you have and how have you monitored? And how do you interact with other organizations? Or simply, and this is one of the first stages, what women's groups have you got working within your organization? Because for the women, they have the vested interest in doing the work. And so my penultimate slide, so we'll get through this quickly. What we do is we analyze your current situation. We match it against a set of charter requirements, and you've submitted your application, and the team who are checking against the charter requirements are the experts that I mentioned in the first instance. So not only will they tell you whether you're meeting the charter requirements, but they'll also give you guidance on next steps. They'll tell you what you're doing wonderfully, and they'll also tell you where you could kind of improve things. And then you receive your charter level award, so you can then display that and set goals to reach the next level and become part of the community into the bargain. And the whole point of this framework is that we know that not all companies can take all the steps, and we know that they don't all have to do it together, to do it alone. And so if we can help them by means of a framework or guidance, then we'll do that. And we'll help them to achieve stages. So it gives them goal setting and something to achieve. And then they become part of the community. So we then share best practice and we take this further. And so that was me. That's really quick. And hopefully I've won us back some time.
Thank you very much, Gillian. And thank you everyone for your presentations. Now we're done with the presentations part, and we're going to go to, right now we're in the main stage. Now we have to go to a session I'm going to create because we're going to have like a kind of workshop, and we can also do like a Q&A part if you have questions for each other. So now you have to leave the main stage, and I will see you in the session. Is it clear for everyone? Or you can also ask in the chat if you cannot find the session. So I will meet you there soon. Hello, Eva.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, you need to leave this part of the stage. Like in the banner below, it says present, invite, and then it says return. You need to click return and then go to the sessions.
So which is the session I will go to?
There's only one, so